Howdy guys. Most of you know I've been on quite the journey the last year and a half, facing the kind of imminent death of my mother and all the trauma from my childhood and things like that, and my learnings continue. Right, so a couple of months ago I did a video in the forest when I was out running explaining how now that I dissipated a lot of the anger from my childhood, I realized like that was such a motivating force for me, and such a and what appeared to be quite a positive way. I was a very successful athlete and I was really fit and I was running and biking and doing all this stuff, and making peace with my mum and then her passing and things like that has been a big learning experience. And that the resentment that I had, a lot of the anger that I had from my childhood that I carried through most of my adult life was kind of gone. And I expressed that it was weird because, like, without the anger there, what was the motivation to train and to train like that? And then months later now, it's kind of dawning on me that I don't have to train that much. That and I mean, most of you know I study a lot of psychology, I read a lot of stuff, I listen to a lot of audio books, I'm very introspective, I'm very interested in the subject, and using myself as the subject, right? Which is kind of fun. And a lot of people reach out to me and tell me that my videos are really useful for them, which is why I continue to make them, because people continue to find them beneficial and can learn from what I've been through. So as I learn from seeing other people go through stuff, right? So the question was then like, well, what am I training for? And do I really have to train that much? And so what I've realized is that a lot of us find comfort in constantly replaying the trauma of our childhood. But as adults, we kind of do it in a different way. So, for example, I grew up in a very, very anxiety ridden, high stress, unstable childhood. And so you're full of adrenaline all the time and endorphins and fear and all these sorts of things. And I think that as you get older, what is happening, and you're probably not aware of it, is that you're mimicking, like, you find comfort in that anxiety and the endorphins and all the stress that comes with it, right? It seems kind of exciting. Your body thinks it's this crazy thing, and we find it comforting. It's not just the tiredness after the training, it's comforting because it reminds you of childhood, right? Which is familiar. What I've found is, like, with that anxiety and fear and all those sorts of things gone, that I'm calm and I don't have to train like a maniac, and I'm calm without having to make myself tired from the training. So I'm training less and I have more energy. And because I'm training less, and I was most likely overtraining as well, right? I'm completely aware of that. And then one of the first symptoms of overtraining is mood instability and irritability. So now that I'm not overtraining, because I'm trying to mimic or copy childhood feelings, then I'm calm and I'm able to make better decisions. And as a result, I've completely stopped drinking alcohol, which for me was like a reward system. I didn't drink a lot, but it became like once a week I would build myself, frantically train and work and all this stuff, and the only way I could relax was I'd have 3 or 4 beers, nothing crazy, right? But now that I'm calm without having to just make myself tired, then I don't need that, because I'm not in this anxious state and I'm not overworking myself, I'm not overtraining, and I'm a calmer version of myself. It's quite unusual, but it's amazing. And my partner Adele is like, wow, like, you're so stable all the time, and like there's not all the ups and downs, and I'm calm and I'm happy and I'm sleeping better, and now the great irony is that I have more energy to teach, and I think that I'm teaching better, and I'm able to run the business better, and I think there's a lot to be learnt from that. And it's quite an amazing thing going through all of this, because like obviously there's been some huge changes in my life, like losing my mother, dealing with the death of that. The death of my dog before that was like very traumatic, but overcoming all this childhood stuff, and now I'm helping my sister, because my sister obviously is also a product of our crazy childhood, and she's an alcoholic. So like I'm trying to help her like figure her life out and stuff like this. And I've always kind of struggled with giving her advice, because it's so frustrating seeing what she's going through. I find it seems crazy, but like seeing somebody throw their life away seems kind of like just such a waste of a life. And because I was such a productivity nut, then I kind of resented her wasting of her life. But she reached out to me yesterday, and yeah, I'm just trying to be caring and trying to be supportive and give good advice and things like that. So yeah, for those of you who are training a lot to try and deal with anxiety and trying to overcome childhood trauma and all these sorts of things, then yeah, hopefully this is useful for you, because it's completely changed my life. Everybody's fearful of losing their parents, and it's difficult dealing with childhood trauma, especially when it affects you a lot as an adult and you're not quite sure how to deal with it, and you're just dealing with it the same way you always have, you know. And for me, my very first psychologist, when I was like in my mid-20s, he said, like, you're not a drug addict, but your choice of drug is endorphins from your training, and it's covering up a lot of your trauma and a lot of your feelings. So when you feel bad, you go out for a run, and the endorphins act as a band-aid to cover up. So he forbid me from training at high heart rates and stuff like this, and that was very, very difficult, and I learned a lot from it. But we fall into old habits over and over and over because they're familiar and because they work. So hopefully this helps somebody out there, yeah, maybe reduce your training load. If you know that you're training emotionally and you're covering things up, reduce that training load, even though it's uncomfortable. And the uncomfortable feelings that come up are trying to tell you something. So pay attention to those rather than just keep covering them up. And that's what I'm going through. It's another video, it's another day, it's another learning, and I'm grateful for it. See you guys, bye.